everybody, it's Holly here. Today I've got a new video for you for markerPop. My video is sped up pretty fast because my coloring took about 40 minutes, so I had to really condense that down. So anyway, I am using an image from a company called Dreamerland Crafts. This is a new company to me, as well as a new company that markerPop is carrying. The little image is called A Big Bouquet of Surprises, and I've stamped it on a piece of Canson 140-pound cold press watercolor paper with some Ranger archival black ink, and I'm coloring it in with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. And I am using a paintbrush today with some water, but you could also use a aqua painter or one of those empty pens that have a water in it, whatever that is. So anyway, what I'm doing is I'm taking the marker to the paper and putting the color down directly, and then I'm coming back in with a clean brush, clean water on the end of my paintbrush and bringing it into the color to kind of spread it out a little bit. And I'm also drawing each area in between, making sure not to work on two areas that are up close together because your wet areas can bleed into each other. So you want to make sure you dry in between, or make sure you work in separate areas. So that's kind of like what I'm doing. You'll see me jumping around on the image here. And I'm using a, let's see, I'll put a list at the bottom of in the description box below of which markers I'm using. But for the little boy's pants, I used Persian green, which is number 33. And then for his shirt, I'm going to use a light gray, which is number 91. And the flowers are pale rose, which is 230. And the flower shrubbery, the green stuff, is going to be number 43 olive green with a little bit of 44 deep green. And then for the flesh, I'm using number 71, which is flesh color, with a little bit of beige, number 72. And I also used the beige color for his boots and some of the hat, and then for his hair as well. And on the hair, I also used a little bit of number 62, the dark brown, for the hair, and also a little bit of shading on the hat. So and the bunny ears, I used number 26, light pink, for the bunny ears. And I used the same gray and the pale rose for the flowers on the bunny as well. So as you can see, when I'm coloring, it's pretty easy. You just take the marker down and you color on it. But the one thing you want to remember with these markers is you have to work fast. So you want to make sure you put that color down and you immediately get in there with the water, because if you don't, once that pen actually starts to dry, it's really hard to move that color around and you kind of get a line. So you kind of have two options with these markers. You can blend with the markers on each other without using water, or you can use them with water. But you can also do the trick where you scribble on the block, which you'll see me do later on when I make the background here. So you can color on the block and then bring the color in like you do with your distress markers or any other marker, basically. So, and for the ground, I just colored in with the marker a little bit and then went back in with the water and just came in with some more clean water at the end to kind of fade it out some. And then I made sure I dried that really, really good. Made sure everything was really dry. And then for the background, I just did the whole background in some clean water. Just made sure I put lots of clean water around, being very careful going around the edge of the image. And then I took the light blue marker and I scribbled it on the block. And then I pick up the color with the paintbrush and kind of dab it on around really lightly. That gives you the effect of clouds, but it's really hard to see on the camera because it is so light. But there is a background there. You could always use a darker color if you wanted. And then I'm going to go ahead and dry that. And then once everything's all dry, I'm going to take it off the board. And I'm going to die cut the image with the double stitched oval dies from My Favorite Things. And then I have a craft card base and some of this Echo Park designer 6x6 paper. So the craft card base is standard A2 size, top folding, and then I've cut the larger piece of the pattern paper down to 4 by 5 1/4 to leave a 1/4 inch border on the card. And then I just cut another piece of the pattern paper to fit, so they're all from the same pad, so everything kind of matches. So I cut that down, and then I'm just going to trim the bottom into a kind of a flag shape there on the bottom. Kind of figuring out how I'm going to lay everything out here. There are a lot of these banner dies on the market, but you know, if you don't have them in your stash, you can just go to the center of it, cut a straight line up, and then just come in from each side at a diagonal, and you're just making a fishtail, essentially, is all you're doing. And you can cut as big a piece of paper or as small a piece of paper as you want. And then I'm going to put two dimensionals on the bottom of the fishtails, so that as it's attached to the card, it kind of pops up some at the bottom. And then I'm going to use the ATG gun at the top of it to attach it down as well. And then on the back of the image panel, that little oval there, I'm going to go ahead and add some more of that dimensional adhesive. That's the Scotch double-sided dimensional adhesive. Now with the Scotch double-sided adhesive, once you lay it down, if you don't press on it, you'll actually have time to lift it up and reposition it if you need to. But once you push it down, you're not pulling it up very easily. So you want to make sure you're just lay it down gently. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp a sentiment. So I decided to use the Altenew stamp set called Label Love, which you all know I like so much because I think I've used it in like 4 videos so far. And I'm using the dough ink from Lawn Fawn. I'm just stamping that on the bottom there, and then I'm just going to trim it out with my scissors. And this ink does settle some once it dries. I mean, you can tell there it looks like it's uneven, but it does smooth out once it dries. And I'm going to add some more dimensional adhesive to my sentiment. This image, if you buy this image from Dreamerland Crafts, you only get the image. You don't get a sentiment with it like you kind of do with the Stamping Bella stamps. And then to finish off the card, I'm going to use some espresso sequins from Pretty Pink Crash and some Ranger Multimedia Matte. And my sequins are, I'm using 6mm and 4mm, but mine are all mixed together in the same container. So I play a lot with my sequins to try to find placement, as you'll see here. And then I just put my multimedia matte down on a piece of scrap paper, and then I just attach the sequins that way. After I spend 600 years putting my sequins down. And here you can see that my tip of my the tip of my multimedia matte came off on that little thing, but you were able to push it back in and it goes right back in. So if you have one of those fine tips on your multimedia matte, be aware that little needle point tip can come off. And that pretty much is my card for today. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in another week. And I hope you stop by again and watch some of my other videos. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.